Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden economic force, one that's shaping your financial life right here in the UK, probably without you even realizing it. It's called the Cantillon effect, and it might just explain why the whole system can feel, well, rigged. Let's get into it.
So, let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're putting in all the hours, you're working harder than ever, maybe you even got a pay rise, but somehow those big goals, like buying a house, just seem to be getting further and further away? Trust me, you are not imagining it. And the reason why is probably not what you think.
So let's get one thing straight right off the bat. That feeling, that sense that you're just treading water financially, it is not a personal failure. It's actually a feature of the economic system we're all living in.
What you're experiencing is part of a massive economy-wide trend. It's this growing gap between people who own assets, things like property and stocks, and people who earn their money primarily from a salary. We're about to show you exactly why that gap is getting wider every single year.
And the key to understanding all of this is a concept from way back in the 18th century. But believe me, it has never been more relevant than it is today. It's called the Cantillon effect. This is the hidden mechanism we really need to get our heads around.
So what is it, really? Well, in simple terms, when new money is created by a central bank, it doesn't just magically appear in everyone's bank account at once. Nope, it gets injected at a specific point in the system. And here's the crucial part. Whoever gets that new money first gets to spend it while prices are still low. By the time that money ripples out to everyone else, prices have already started to rise.
Okay, think of it like this. Picture a long water trough for animals. If you pour a bucket of water in at one end, which animals get to drink first? The ones closest to you, right? They get the cool, fresh water. By the time that water trickles all the way down to the other end, there's less of it. It's exactly the same with new money. Your financial well-being is hugely impacted by how close you are to that money printer.
Okay, that's the theory, but how does this actually work in practice in the modern UK economy? Let's follow the money, shall we?
So it all starts at the central bank. They create new money, often through things you hear about like quantitative easing. But, and this is the kicker, that money doesn't go to you or me. It flows directly to the big players, commercial banks, giant investment funds, and major corporations. And what's the very first thing they do with it? They don't give everyone a raise. No, they buy assets. They snap up property, they buy stocks, they buy bonds. This tsunami of new cash floods into the financial markets, pushing the prices of those assets up first and fast. It's only way later that any of that money starts to trickle down to the rest of us in our paychecks.
Right, so let's look at the real-world fallout from all this. What does this actually mean for your attempt to buy a house, for your savings, for your salary, right here in the UK? Well, the numbers, they don't lie. And this right here shows you the result in black and white. Just look at the last 10 years in the UK. The growth in the price of a key asset, houses, has absolutely smoked the growth in average wages. It's not even close. This isn't a fair race. The system is designed in a way that just earning a salary makes it almost impossible to keep up. This is the Cantillon effect in action, right there on the screen. So why? Why is there this huge gap? Well, it all comes down to who gets the money first. Asset prices shoot to the moon because they are the first things that get bought with all that new, cheap money. They get the full, undiluted purchasing power. Meanwhile, your wages are at the very end of the queue. Your pay only goes up after the price of everything else, from your rent to your weekly shop, has already been inflated by that new money. And that is the absolute crux of the issue. By the time you get that pay rise you worked so hard for, the purchasing power of that extra money has already been eaten away. The prices of the very things you're saving for, like a house, have already jumped. You're basically playing a game of catch-up that you can never truly win.
Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it sounds pretty bleak, I know. But here's the thing. Once you understand the rules of the game, you can start to figure out how to play it. If the system works this way, how do you position yourself to survive and even thrive?
So what can you do about it? This strategy becomes pretty clear, doesn't it? You have to make the shift from being just a wage earner to also being an owner. You have to own the kinds of assets that are first in line to catch that wave of new money. We're talking about owning a piece of the economy, whether it's property, stocks, whatever it may be. In today's world, this isn't a luxury anymore, it's a financial lifeboat.
And this quote really puts it all into perspective. For a long time, the advice was that investing was the risky thing to do. But in a world that runs on the Cantillon effect, the biggest risk of all is doing nothing. The biggest risk is just holding cash or relying only on your salary, while its value is being silently eroded day by day.
Look, this has obviously been a super quick dive into a really big, important topic.
but just understanding this effect is a massive first step. If you want to go deeper and learn more about how to navigate it, the book that this explainer is based on is linked for you in the description. Thanks for joining us.